Oh, well, hello, all my wonderful broskis and broskies of the Maverick Nation, and welcome to part two of a what if that I'm really excited to do because, well, it is sort of like another villain, Deku or Izuku what if, kind of like the ones I've done before, like the one I'm doing now. Which, whenever part 8 comes out, guys, just letting you know, not April Fooling you, part 8 will probably be the last part of that what if. Whenever part 8 comes out. That will probably be the last part of the villain Deku what if, villain Izuku, whatever. But, I am not certifying anything considering the, Ukiura reincarnation what if thing. I am not saying anything about that. Because I'm just letting you guys know that part 8 will be the part that basically, it will probably be the part that ends the, if Izuku was evil, so I'd probably have to find something new. And actually, I am going to do something new, because come the 13th of this month, there's gonna be something very special coming and knocking, like a present for you guys, come the 13th. Anyways, and about any other what ifs, like the whole Aizen one, well, the Aizen one just freaking started, so of course I'm not going to end it. Plus, I love it like a lot, especially like how much I love this what if. The Aizen one and this what if in particular are ones that I'm really liking what I'm doing with them. And I have like 3 or 4 parts in the Aizen one already, so oh boy, what I'm gonna do with this one. Cause that's right. Here we got part 2 of what if Shigaraki and Izuku, you know, changed roles. What does it actually say? Does it say changed? Or no, it doesn't say changed, it says switched. Damn it. Part 2 of what if Shigaraki and Izuku switched roles. Wait, I have to look again. Did I forget again? Did I mess up again? No, it is switched. Switched roles. Part 2 of that. Part 2 of what if Izuku and Shigaraki switched roles. What if Shigaraki and Izuku switched roles? And in doing that, I'm also going to do a little sort of retcon. Well, this is kind of like a retcon, kind of like a fixing a mistake, a sort of mistake. The sort of retcon, sort of fixing a mistake that I'm going to do here is basically, you know how I was talking about like the green shroud, green hood, whatever the hell? The name of the team is the Green Shroud, but the Green Hood. I think I said something else, but I'm just gonna I'm just gonna call it the Green Hood. The Basically, Green Hood is the name of like the person who runs it, but the name of the team in general are the Green Shroud. The team is the Green Shroud, but the name of the person who runs the Green Shroud is Green Hood. Yes, Izuku is Green Hood. So basically, like they have All Might as a name, they have All for One as a name, so why not give himself a name, like Green Hood? Basically, his villain name is Green Hood in this, and his team is the Green Shroud. And about the sidekicks for the sidekicks, for his sidekicks, Stain, Toga, and Dabi, like the Hero Killer Stain, Himato Toga, and Dabi Todoroki. Basically, their sidekicks, I finally think I've managed to be able to pronounce it right. Les Equilimbeles. That's what they're called, like the sidekicks for Stain, Dobby, and Toga. They are called the Les Equilimbeles. And the whole thing about the Nomu, basically, like, you could make Nomu Les Equilimbeles. You could do that, but he's actually has, like, he's sort of pulling an Orochimaru. Like Izuku, but see, like whenever he's not with Tenko, I'm gonna call him Green Hood. Whenever he's not with Tenko, or unless it's like a moment where I would call him Izuku, like usually I'm gonna call him Green Hood, cause that's his villain name. And they switched roles for this. Those two. Izuku switched roles, so his villain name is Green Hood, and his whole thing. He kind of has like a actually no, I think his name was Green Cloak. Yeah, scrap the hood thing. It's Green Cloak. His villain name's gonna be Green Cloak. He's gonna be the Green Cloak. His villain name is the Green Cloak, but the name of the team is the Green Shroud. So Green Cloak and his team, the Green Shroud. Basically, why his name is Green Cloak is because basically he's pulling a Yuha Bach by wearing that old cape thing that Yuha has, like the whole robe that Yuha has, like the big ass robe. He's basically pulling that, like a dark green. No, actually, it's light green. It's like a lightish green, but not too light. And underneath, he has like a dark green suit on, like a formal dark green suit on. Like he's kind of pulling an all for one with the suit. He's kind of pulling an all for one. Like, kind of like, should just be like, yeah, I can wear a suit too. But over all of that, he has like a big Yuha box style freaking like lighter green freaking robe over him. And it cloaks over his head. So that's why it would be the Green Cloak. And the team name would be Green Shroud. It's the Green Shroud, but the name of their leader is Green Cloak. The name of the leader of the Green Shroud is Green Cloak, and the basic team name is the Green Shroud. Basically, and Izuku's villain wear, I just now explained it. He would have like a dark green dress shoes on, to complete the image, and he would even have the dark green gloves that would support the whole image thing. But the whole robe he would have over like the Yuhabak robe, like would be a lighter green from everything else. And Izuku, he would be all spiffy and shit, but he would be pulling an Orochimaru up in this biatch. He'd be pulling an Orochimaru. He would be pulling an Orochimaru. He'd basically he would be pulling an Orochimaru, and the reason why I say that is not just because of the Nomus, but because, well, he's kind of pulling more than just the Nomus. He would also, he would basically be going up, and, he'd be in his green cloak. He would, hide his face. Besides the suit and, like, the robes, he would also kind of have, like, a Robin mask, like Batman and Robin. He would kind of have, like, a Robin mask, only instead of black and white, like, where the black is, they would be the lighter green. That would be, like, the same tint of green that the cloak, like, the robes are in. And where the white is for Robin's face mask thing, there would be black. It would be green and black. Instead of black and white, it would be green and black. Kind of fit a motif of like sophisticated crime. Like sophisticated crime, if you know what I mean. But, he would have his face covered so, you know, no one would know it was him. And also, he has the face mask on, so, yeah, that's extra protection from, anyone knowing who you are. And he would kind of have, like, a little bit of a darker voice, kind of mask his voice by, like, making it a little bit more, like, sinister sounding. Like, not really sinister sounding. Like, the only time he would really do that, like, the sinister sounding voice is whenever he wanted to, you know, be like all as evil. But he would have like a darker, like a regular darker voice for like whenever he just didn't want people to know it was him. And so, he'd be walking, he'd just be walking out. No one knows it's him, so he'd just be walking out. And, he would bump into somebody. And that somebody would be All Might. And, he basically they'd both get up and it would be all weird. Like All Might wouldn't really know what to say except for sorry. And you know, Mr. Green Cloak over here, they would just be like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing." By the way, um, I have someone, seeing as I do indeed know about the fact that one for all needs to be passed down. Well, just in case I lose it, 2 hairs, please? I could take it to whoever you deem to be your successor. And All Might would be like, he had been thinking about who to be his successor. And you're like, just in case he did lose the 1 hair, like he decides, yeah, sure, 2 hairs, whatever. He decides, okay, fine, I'll give you 2, just in case you lose the 1. Like he's like, okay, just in case he does lose the 1, I'll give him 2. Okay, whatever. And the Green Cloak would be all like, thank you. And All Might would be like, by the way, I would like to know your name. And then all of a sudden he'd just be gone, like just like that, like just like in like a flash, he'd just be gone, like he wasn't even there in the first place. And All Might would be like, are my ass playing tricks on me? And he'd just be like, did I just give my quirk to someone who may or may not be evil? And he would just like go to his like apartment or house or wherever, and he'd just be like thinking it over. And Izuku would go over to like the laboratory part of his base because by now he would have like a laboratory in his base. Something where he could do like experiments because the whole Nomu shit. And he would just be like, and basically, Dobby would be like giving him news, but beyond the news that he had already given him about like having like his Les Equilibrables being having their ass kicked. But he would also like he'd go down there and he'd be like giving him news about uh sir, boss. And Green Cloak would be like, yes. Like you'd be like, oh yeah. Yeah. He wouldn't have to disguise his voice anymore because, they know each other. He'd be like, yeah? What is it? And Dobby would just be like, well, uh, that Rei Todoroki, my mother? And, he would just be like, yeah, I'm interested. What about it? She's in that mental asylum or whatever you were telling me about. Because of what Endeavor said about her mental state? Lying bastard. And, Dobby would just be like, yeah, I agree with you on that too. Just be like, but that's not the important part. Apparently, she was pregnant while she was in there. And she just had a baby. So I decided to, lie and say I would take care of the child. When really, like you said you were going out to see if you could find anything interesting. And Green Cloak, I'm just gonna call him Green Cloak. Green Cloak is just like, oh, yes, very interesting. The child? And then he just shows them the child. They don't really have a name yet. And then he just says it out loud, like Green Cloak just says it out loud, Kami. And Dobby's like, he just like almost drops the kid, and Green Cloak has to like race over there and catch it. Like, Kami, you know what it means. And he's like, yeah, how could I not know what it means? It means God. And he'd just be like, it's a girl. This is perfect. Yes. Ah, a hair from our childhood. I seem to have acquired a hair from our childhood, from the burnt wreckage of our house. One of Tenko's hairs. And one of mine, they'll have telekinesis, decay, and the power of All Might. His one for all. All three quirks. In one child. Or at least you could say that. If they're able to survive the experiment. If they're not able to do so well in the beginning parts of the experimentation, I might have to use part of the no DNA to re-register them and have them come back stronger with more of an adaptable body. Yes. A quirk like something of the Nomu, yes, regeneration. That would be good too. Yes. One for all, decay, telekinesis, and regeneration. All things that would make for the perfect. Oh, yes. My one at my side. The one who would be my underling. And Dobby would be just like, your underling? Yes, Well, what exactly did you do with Ray? Or did you just let them have her back? And Dobby's just like, she whispered to me to kill her. So I had to take it outside, so that the doctors wouldn't know about what I was about to do. And Green Cloak would just be like, really? And Dobby's just like, okay, fine, she's here. Uh, I just, I didn't know what you were going to do. And, and then Green Cloak would just be like, Ray, I require you to come here. And Ray would just like go over and she'd just be like, oh, so you're Green Cloak. I've heard a lot about you from Dobby. And, Green Cloak would just be like, ah, yes. And this child that you just seem to have given birth to, they're 4 quirks. Yes, 4 quirks. Yes. The regeneration will help the other 3 go in tandem. And she's just like, yeah, I heard everything you said from downstairs. Well, like upstairs, because downstairs is where the lab is. I heard everything you have said from upstairs. Though I didn't think interrupting you would be a good thing, seeing as you are the leader of everyone, including Dobby. As much as I don't want my child to get hurt, it seems like all of those quirks would help them survive. And you called them Kami. Your lesser being named God. And she's a girl. And Green Cloak would be like, yes. And then Ray's just like, then what would I be useful for? And then you would just be like, You would be part of her training. Yes, she would need multiple trainers if she is to become truly strong. However, the way in which I supposed to do this would rapidly speed up the aging process so that we could have her at fighting shape whenever it is time for the entrance exams for UA. She'll be our spy for now. And Dobby's just like, speed up the aging process. And then he's just like, already done. And then, Kami is just being placed in a tank. Yes, it won't be long until she's ready to be the yin to my brother's yang. Or however that works. Bad to good, whatever. She'll be like a rival in strength and in other ways. And basically, like, Ray would just be like, you want me to help her train to become stronger? And, he would just be like, well, of course. I mean, after all, you are to be one of Dobby's Les Equilimbelles. And Ray's just like, you want me to become a Les Equilimbelles to my son? And Green Cloak is just like, do you have a problem with that, Ray? And Ray is like, no, not at all. I was just interested and curious as to why. And, he'd just be like, so you'd be able to spend more time with him. And, help Kami whenever they're ready. And so, it would fast forward time, and, someone would step out of the tank, only it would be a bigger tank. They would kind of have switch sizes for, like, whenever, like, Kami would, like, grow. And the person who would step out of the tank is indeed Kami. Remember I said Kami's a girl? This isn't DBZ Kami or Dragon Ball Kami. This is my Kami, the Kami that I made as an original character. Do not steal. Basically, Kami would be like, this is my home. And, Green Cloak would just be like, yes. And you can call me Green Cloak. You, Kami, you will be my underling. And there will be many members of this group that I have made, the Green Shroud. They will help you become strong. And basically, it would also, fast forward even more a little. Like, basically, after all the training is done, because, Kami's doing training, because, he basically told her why, like, to be a spy for the, UA, to, enter UA as a spy. So Kami's going to be a spy, and, Shigaraki's going to be able to sense something suspicious about this random person just appeared out of nowhere, and doesn't really seem to have a place of origin. But, however, they do seem to have, like, 3 or 4 different quirks, like, decay, freaking telekinesis, freaking all for, one for all, and freaking, the regeneration. But they also seem to have their own secret quirk that they developed out of all the different quirks. They call it, basically, I'm just gonna pull a Devil May Cry 3 reference here, because, like Dante's Awakening, that's the name of the third game, Dante's Awakening. I'm gonna pull a Devil May Cry 3 reference here. They call this new quirk Divine Hate. And, Shigaraki's actually gotten his way to, making, a new quirk. And basically, Basically, Shigaraki would be like, my quirk. And he would just like fuse like the like a decay with the telekinesis so that if he touched something with his 5 fingers, he could like use the telekinesis to like control it so that it like didn't automatically disintegrate everything. It would only disintegrate, like it would only decay something if he wanted it to. He would basically use the decay to like control. He would basically use the telekinesis to control his decay power. And he calls that little fusion of the two quirks, he calls it his own quirk, and he calls it controlled chaos. So we got controlled chaos, and we also have divine hate. But divine hate is made up of multiple different quirks, and she kind of made up her own little thing to where she can like use all this different stuff to like fuse herself with like freaking material and like create weapons out of her body and like just like use her bloodlust from all of her training to like create freaking weapons. And the more she's able to control her bloodlust, like the more powerful the weapons will be, and like the less tired she'll be from using all the weapons. So not only does she have regeneration, not only does she have the freaking decay quirk, not only does she have the telekinesis, not only does she have freaking one for all, but like she fused that all together in order to create freaking super weapons. like like the weapons are a result of her being able to fuse all the quirks together. She can create them out of her body and do all sorts of shit with them as long as she has that bloodlust like will to like kill something. And as long as she's able to control it, she won't really tire. But controlling it is easier said than done. Because it's bloodlust. Whenever you're in bloodlust mode, it's really hard for you to control your emotions. Because, you're in bloodlust mode. So, yeah. We basically have controlled destruction and divine hate. Two quirks battling against each other. Like, divine hate allows her to use all of the different quirks to create weapons out of her body that she can, like, freaking, like, rip out and just use, like, freaking, like, just mess people up. And, controlled chaos, is, the, sort of quirk fusion that Shigaraki has created. Actually, he doesn't just use 2 quirks. He figured out he can actually like go even further because one of the hairs that was like stolen was given back to him in like the middle of the night. He didn't even notice, and then all of a sudden, whenever he woke up, the other hair was there, and there was a little note. Didn't really need the other one. Like it turns out, I didn't really need the other one, so here it is. And he decides to give the other hair, to Shigaraki. And now the controlled chaos is like, he can go controlled chaos, but he can also go, like, the first thing of controlled chaos is, like, controlled chaos without, like, the one for all power. But the moment he uses the one for all power, like, I guess you would call it full cowling, like, the moment he starts using that shit, it becomes controlled chaos level 2. And controlled chaos level 2, he calls, like, full masking. Instead of full cowling, it's full masking. Because I think Izuku named it full cowling. I think he named it full cowling. So, Shigaraki, like, Tenko here, would, call it full masking. So, like, instead of, like, cowl, it would be mask. So, he would be like, as soon as he added in the, one for all quirk, it would basically go to level 2, because without the one for all, it's level 1, but with the one for all, it's level 2, also known as full masking. and he can go into like different percents of level 2, like different percents of full masking. But he's like, it would be like controlled chaos, full masking, level 2. It would be like full masking, level 2, controlled chaos. Basically, he calls it controlled chaos, and controlled chaos level 1 is without the one for all, but with the one for all is controlled chaos level 2, or full masking, like any percentage. Like whenever he gets to like 50%, like it will become level 3, and whenever he gets to like freaking 80%, I guess it'll be like level 4, and 100% would be like level 5. I don't freaking know. I'm just like pulling at strings hairs here. Basically, because of like controlled chaos and divine hate, basically both Tenko and Kami would like go through like the robot portion of the exam, which is after the written exam. But Tenko and Kami would both do well in that because of like it wasn't just physical stuff that they were being schooled in. It would also like mental stuff. So they would both do well in both of them, and so both of them would get accepted into UA. Basically, Tenko would be sitting where Izuku would have sat, so he would be sitting at seat 18. And who to like replace? I'm thinking of Mineta if I'm not able to think of someone else. If I'm not able to think of someone else, I'll probably Mineta. But for some reason, I'm not wanting to like have Mineta be out. Make like Invisible Girl, like she's invisible. That's really her only thing is invisibility. And you know the whole sticky hair thing, like able to stick things to things, that could actually be useful. But Invisible Girl, her only thing is she's invisible. So I guess Invisible Girl is out. And I guess since Invisible Girl is out, I'll have Tenko, seeing as he, you know, Izuku no longer has himself connected, and like Inko, like he's not even sure if she'll be able to survive. He doesn't even like he hasn't even gotten any info about her condition in like freaking weeks, months, however long. So basically, he would need someone to comfort him. He would need someone to be like bros with, like bro fist mode. So basically, like he would cling on to someone like anyone. Ochako would be like a good like girlfriend, but that would be like later on down the road whenever he became more comfortable around people. Like, like the whole thing that happened with his mother, so he really wouldn't be comfortable around girls because of what happened with his mother. He really would have like they would have to like melt down his walls, like get through to him because of what happened with his mother, what happened with Inko. Basically, so the whole girlfriend thing, like shipping, like you can ship him with like people, you can like give me ships, but it's gonna have to wait till he's like more comfortable. But in terms of like making friends, so like if you guys wanted to ship, you can, but it will have to wait. But in terms of like making friends, he would want to make friends, but honestly, he's not going to make friends with Kami because Tenko is smart and he'd be able to figure out. Plus, Kami really wouldn't want to hide it from Tenko because she would know from what Green Green Cloak had told her. Master Green Cloak had told her that if he's smart, he will not reveal information like that to the populace. If he's smart. And basically, she also, like, reveals, like, if you're smart, you won't say anything. And Tenko's like, I already know that. Bitch. He'd just be like, bitch, I already know that. And, Mineta would be all like, yo, Tenko, dude, are you alright? Are you okay? And Tenko would be like, You're like the first person to actually give a shit. You're the first person to actually give a shit about if I'm okay or not, besides, like, Ochako. Ochako's like, she wants to know if Tenko's okay, and Tenko's like, yeah, I'm fine, I guess. And, Kami can see right through this, and basically, Moneta would be like, I know there's something wrong, but you don't have to tell me what it is, but I will at least be able to help you. I mean, like, the girls really don't seem to like me. And, Tanko would just go up to his face and he'd be like, they don't like you because you're a pervert, Moneta. And Moneta would be like, wait, that's why nobody wants to be around me? I thought the more you wanted to be around girls, the more they would want to be around you. And Tanko's like, yes and no. Like, there's a little bit of like, Moneta. Listen, Moneta. It's called personal space, and, girls don't exactly want, like, people looking in on them, like, whenever they're naked. Like, there are certain boundaries, like, a man doesn't cross with a woman, or a woman doesn't cross with a man, or else he'll be seen as a pervert. There are just certain boundaries a man or a woman doesn't cross with the other gender. And, Mineta is like, would you be able to train me, like, so I can overcome my perviness? And Tanko's like, wait, what? You want me to train you? And Mineta's like, of course I would love to accept your training. And he would just, like, be on his freaking knees. And he'd be like, I would love to accept your training. Anything. Anything. And Tanko would be like, well, I would like to have a friend. I mean, it's very lonely now that... And, Moneta's like, we can be friends, and if we're friends, you'll train me? Well, I wouldn't like that to be like the stick. I mean, I wouldn't just want us to be friends because I trained you. And, Moneta is like, he comes up with all this stuff, there's all these things that he does like about Tanko, and Tanko's like, well, you're not too bad yourself, Moneta. And they do end up finding out that they actually quite like each other. Like, in the bros before hoes way. Basically, Tanko also teaches him about bros before hoes. Like, bros before hoes, Moneta. One thing you gotta learn, bros before hoes. And Moneta's like, yes, sir. I mean, yeah, Tanko, of course. Of course, bros before hoes. And, Tanko would be like, this is gonna be rocky, but I hope at least we'll get better eventually. This would be a lot easier if Mom was here. And, like, Inko, he'd just be like, it'd be a lot easier if Mom was here. And Mineta is just like, so, what do we do now? And Aizawa would just, like, he'd be, like, fumbling around in his sleeping bag. And Mineta's like, who's that? Is that, like, a freaking caterpillar? And, Tenka would just grab Mineta, because he has, like, seat 19, so he's right next to him. And he would just, like, grab Mineta. And he'd just be like, we need to get back to our seats before he wakes up. And Mineta would be like, yeah, of course. And Aizawa would be like, why can't you brats be more like those two? He'd just be pointing to Tenko and Mineta. He'd also be pointing to Ochako, because Ochako would be, like, taking pointers from them. And she'd be like, oh yeah, I should probably do that too. Like, basically, he'd be pointing to Ochako, Mineta, and Tanko. He's like, why can't you brats be more like those three? They're already in their seats. And Bakugo would get all pissed. And he'd just be like, this is a piece of shit. And I'm going to go ahead and stop this part right here. Basically, I got all the relationship stuff down. Ochako's into She's into Tenko, but Tenko isn't really into girls all that much, and he's trying to teach Mineta the ways of not being a pervert. So basically, we are establishing characters and also establishing the fact that the person I decided to get rid of so that, Kami could be part of Class 1A was Invisible Girl. So, yeah. Anyways, Alonzi, the Dark Shadow Maverick is out. Adouses.